the Andes Mountains of South America. Near Cotopaxi Mountain in Ecuador lies the village of La Victoria. This quiet village is similar to other communities in the Andes region of Ecuador. The inhabitants of La Victoria have a proud heritage. The Quechua people are believed to be the descendants of the Incas. Like other villages, La Victoria relies on subsistence farming and small cottage industries to survive. And like other villages, the children of La Victoria are vibrant and active. But the children of La Victoria suffer from a silent illness: lead poisoning. In 1994, Dr. Alan Counter, professor of neuroscience at Harvard University, led a team of doctors to La Victoria to investigate the high levels of lead contamination and determine the effects on the surrounding community. The team found startling results. The villagers in La Victoria live by simple traditional means. The source of lead contamination is also the source of the village's livelihood. La Victoria's main income comes from a local cottage industry, the making and glazing of ceramics. During the glazing process, a lead coat is applied to the ceramics. The glazing process is the heart of the contamination. The pottery and statues are made by hand and then baked in the kilns. An oven can be found in nearly every backyard in La Victoria. Ceramic roof tiles are the greatest source of income for the villagers. These tiles are used on houses throughout Ecuador. They will eventually be coated with a lead glaze. The lead glaze creates a more durable and cosmetically appealing tile. Other glazing compounds are available to substitute for lead, but they're more expensive and difficult to obtain. Discarded utility and automobile batteries serve as the source of the lead. This is the first level of exposure. Children who eat and play in the vicinity of such containers risk exposure. The lead is extracted manually from the batteries and ground into a liquid mixture. It's not uncommon to find children such as Fernando glazing the tiles, directly exposing his hands and body to the poisonous liquid. Washing in plain water at the end of the workday does not sufficiently remove all lead contamination. After the lead glaze is applied, the tiles bake in the ovens at temperatures over 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Lead-filled smoke contaminates the air. Soil, plants, and livestock are exposed throughout the village. Tile workers are particularly affected by the smoke, which can cross the lungs and enter the bloodstream. At the medical clinic in La Victoria, Dr. Counter and his team organize testing of the children. Lead poisoning in children is known to cause mental retardation and poor motor development. In its severest form, lead poisoning can cause debilitating disease and even death. Most of the children of La Victoria have extremely high levels of lead in their blood. In some cases, children have lead levels more than 10 times higher than levels considered dangerous by modern medical standards. Dr. Buchanan tested the children for hearing impairment, often associated with lead poisoning. Dr. Rosas conducted neurological exams, searching for symptoms of lead poisoning. Symptoms include staining of the teeth, poor reflexes, and poor motor skills. The children were also tested for cognitive problems. The results indicated that some of the lead-exposed children had learning disabilities. Dr. Counter conducted brainwave tests on the children to determine if they suffered any brain damage due to lead exposure. Some of the children with high lead levels showed signs of brain damage. Fernando, seen earlier pouring lead on the tiles, was also tested by the team. Lead lines were found on Fernando's teeth, the result of lifelong exposure to high levels of lead. Only 14 years old, he complains of numerous ailments. At a town meeting, Dr. Counter and Dr. Ortega reported the results of the medical tests to the villagers.
Our major concern is what your children are exposed to. When we visited the kilns, what we saw were families working there. This very heavy smoke coming out, that means that there is plumo in the air. It can cross the lungs and go into your system. But for the children, it's almost always when they pick up something and put in their mouths. And their blood levels are so high, and we're very concerned about that and want to see if you can do something with us to help them.
The team and the village know solutions will not be easy. Individual results were reported to the parents. Iron and calcium supplements were given to the children suffering from dietary deficiencies due to lead exposure. Dr. Laurel treated ear, nose, and throat problems. Dr. Counter's team introduced a new portable lead testing device to the people of La Victoria. This device requires only a finger stick and a single drop of blood for the lead test. In the future, the villagers may be able to use this device to monitor their own lead levels.
It is for this reason that we have come back.
The team conducted classes to further educate the villagers about lead exposure.
To have your children checked for lead levels in their blood, since you know they are exposed to the work you are doing in the lead tile glazing and the possibility of impairment because of early exposure.
Dr. Counter introduced protective masks to the tile workers.
In the fires. Okay.
Gracias, doctor.
And a local teacher received a hearing aid.
When you want to make it louder, you turn this up, just as a radio. You must become accustomed to moving the dial up and down. I'm going to turn it up just slightly. Bueno? Muy bien.
Some townspeople have begun to find their own solutions. This small craft shop uses a non-lead-based paint instead of lead glaze. For most of the villagers, however, their very livelihood depends on the lead glazing process. During the time of the medical project, La Victoria and the surrounding villages suffered a devastating earthquake. The Church of La Victoria, the center of village life, was destroyed, along with many of the baking kilns. Even the durable lead-glazed tiles could not withstand the force of the earthquake. The lead glazing ovens were the first structures rebuilt. Unless drastic changes are made, lead poisoning will continue to be a problem for the village of La Victoria. But with the concentrated help of experts from Ecuador and other nations, the problems can be solved.